Hey guys, this is Shruti Enkar, and I'm back with another episode of Crack It, all about campus placements. And today we have with us a very dynamic and versatile person who is the epitome of knowledge. So please welcome our guest, Master Sooraj Nair, who is placed in TCS. Talking about Sir, he is currently in his final year of engineering in Civil Department. Moreover, he is Training and Placement Coordinator at RSCOE, President at American Society of Civil Engineers, RSCOE Student Chapter, Student General Secretary, and also a private tutor. So, first of all, congratulations, sir, for being selected in TCS.
Thank you, Shruti.
Yeah, so my first question to you is what preparations did you do to get placed in an IT company like TCS?
Okay, so first and foremost, thank you for the warm welcome. And coming back to your questions, how did I get placed in a company like TCS? So basically, TCS is an IT company, as we all know. And for an IT company, first thing that you should be well versed should be in the computer fundamentals, subjects like DBMS, OOPS. Okay, so for that, I started preparing for that from my third year. As soon as we got the hint that these prestigious company are going to be there for the placement drive, so I started, revising myself in these topics. So yeah, and then again simultaneously I started taking some time to get myself comfortable with some programming languages. I personally did Python as my basic programming language.
Okay, sir. So, in which year did you start preparing for your interview?
Okay, so for interviews, I started for the company type of interviews. I've started my preparation from my third year itself, but I had a kind of basic background, having taking interviews and having myself interviewed by in various situations, such as for the, as you mentioned, the student chapters that I'm a part of, and again for the other extracurricular activities that I've been a part of. So I was basically exposed to those kind of environment, but still for the company wise, placement wise, I started preparing thoroughly during my third year.
Okay, sir. So, as you're from civil department, there is no IT background in studies. So, what skills did you build to get placed in an IT company?
Yeah, so generally speaking, core departments such as civil and mechanical do not have a much exposure to IT as compared to other branches. So it's a general fashion that the general civil engineerings are not very active during the IT campus placement rounds. But fortunately, during my third year, and because of the sudden wave of corona that came, uh, there were many institutions such as ICT Academy is one of the institutions. Through a college, they started providing software and IT related trainings. So I was a part of that, and I spent a good 2 to 3 months, interacting with different softwares, with different programming languages, many IT and IoT based trainings, because of which I was able to get myself more and more involved with the IT industry. So there were different platforms and different programs on IoT, MATLAB, Salesforce, automation, and many other programming options from different companies. Some prestigious company like Cisco, AWS, and companies like that. So I was able to get myself, immersed into the IT stuff during my third year itself.
Okay, great. So, which platforms did you use? Like, which platforms would you suggest to master the skills in IT?
Okay, so for I would divide it into separate parts. What I did use personally was for the programming related stuff. I used the websites such as HackerRank, Geeks for Geeks, CodeChef, in which I was able to grasp a lot of programming knowledge and get myself the basic foundation that is required for programming. And after that, w3school.com was my go-to website for everything related to IT. uh, because I have a bit of background in IT, because IT was my uh, subject during my 11th and 12th. So because of that, I had a bit of foundation there. So W3 schools was always my go-to website. So that was there. Along with that, Coursera was also a very good option, another great resource that helped me get myself into more and more IT fundamentals.
Okay, okay. How did you build your resume?
Okay, talking about my creating my resume was the most tiring and the most crucial part that I have faced. I mean, everything aside, learning and getting myself into IT was an easy job as compared to creating my resume. And my colleague would also, be in favor of that opinion. But I mean, it was the part which I had spent most of my days trying to perfect. It was a Herculean task, said otherwise. But building my resume, it always started with getting whatever you have, whatever you have learned, whatever you have understood, and what you have worked on, getting that into a paper, and that to just one page. I mean, that's a difficult task. uh, but if say there is a person that has not spent a lot of time doing some extracurricular activities aside from the academics I'm speaking, and then you are trying to make your resume, I mean, it will look very bland, it will look very blank, to be honest. So, but that is okay. I mean, what I did personally was, even when I was making my resume, I used Microsoft Word for creating my resume, and in that basically all the basic stuff that you need to fill in the name and your educational background, your skills, and everything like that. But it still looked bland. And even when my colleagues made their own resumes, it was more or less the same situation there as well. So what I would suggest to my whoever is watching this and whoever wants to make their own resume, I would suggest use apps such as Canva or maybe Superset, which is a mandatory website that sorry app that you have to use for the placement also. But these two apps were very beneficial in terms of making your resume, making them look stand out and fill the necessary gaps. uh, so you have to, I mean, it's a trial and error basis kind of a work. Making a resume, you have to experiment a lot and then get that perfect resume. uh, as I even have 30 plus resume on my device with different styles and different content and in different this. So getting a perfect resume is very tough. You have to experiment a lot and come up with whatever you're liking.
Yeah, absolutely. What kind of internships did you do to build your resume more attractive?
Yeah, so the first internship that I can remember, that was an online internship with KMITL Institute, which is based in Thailand. It was offered by a college, and I took part in it. It was a very fun experience, learning on an international level, and working with an international institute was a very different experience. After that, I applied for an internship at Vijay Construction. It is a firm that is based in Chikli here in Pune as a junior engineer. It was about for around 3 months. It was a time when the corona danger had died down a little. These internships just gave another was another point that gave my resume a good oomph.
Yeah. Okay. What type of projects did you do in your college days?
Okay, so I've been doing and working on projects since my second year. So I think it was my third semester, I think, yes, third semester of my engineering when I started doing projects. So the first project that I started was a hydropower plant project. It was for a competition that was again Tata. Uh, based one exhibition was there. For that we had made this project, and after that the major project that we had worked on, that was I think in the fourth semester. It was a project based on World 2050. So that was a civil engineering project in which we had to make a 3D model of a complete city and render it and make a complete structure of a city. That was again a project that was given to us by a civil engineering department, and we represented that project during Innovision 2020. Aside from this, during my third year, I worked on some IoT projects such as an automatic home lighting system, which was again a bit of our curriculum was involved there and a bit of IT as well. So it was very fun. But it was abrupted halfway, so because of some reasons. Aside from that, I worked on an competition. It was a project-based competition, which is known as ASC Concrete Canoe. So I was a part of that team in which we had to create, do a very big technical assignment in which we have to create a 22-foot long concrete canoe, which was again a Herculean task, and it was very fun as well. And after that, I started working. As soon as I started learning Python, I did few projects, small projects, Python-based projects, such as making a rock paper scissors game, which was fun. And afterwards, making a hotel management system using Python, that was also fun.
Okay. So how many rounds were there in the interview?
Okay, so in interview, the TCS interview I'm talking about, the TCS interview was a peculiar case of interview. In that, what was happening was there were three interviewers at the same time. Okay, so in one interview, they'll finish off all your TR, HR, and managerial rounds, everything. So there were three dignitaries. One, it started with the technical round. So in the technical round, they asked us different questions, technical questions based off some based off my resume, and some were based on the general programming and IT fundamentals. After that, there was a managerial round in where I was bombarded with some managerial questions such as situational questions, etc. So that was the second round. Everything really just managerial questions, simple managerial questions were there. And finally was the HR round, in which I had a conversation with the HR, in which we talked about the terms and conditions and some other general questions.
Okay. So can you just brief a little what questions were asked in TR round?
Okay, so in TR round, mostly the questions were based on OOPS, DBMS, and programming language. So the programming language that I mentioned in my resume was Python. So mostly the questions were based on Python. Aside from that, there could be some questions on C, C++, because those are some languages that are mostly preferred by companies. So there were some few questions of those programming languages as well. So I was able to answer some of them, not all of them, but some of them, because I had a bit of foundation, because in the first year you have a bit of C, C++. So I was able to recall some of those concepts and give sufficient answers. And also based on a project, if you have mentioned any IT based or IoT based projects in your resume, there will be some technical questions based on that as well.
Okay. And what type of questions were asked in HR round?
So in HR round, the questions were mostly concentrated on my projects, whichever project that I had mentioned in my resume, which I had told you right now. So the questions mostly by the HR were based on the projects as well. And then the most important question, or the one question that is dreaded for people who are from core branches who are shifting to IT, is why IT? Why choosing IT when you are from a core branch? So that was a very good question. And then again, some questions were based on the skills that you have mentioned in your resume. In my case, I had mentioned some IoT based skills, also some software based skills. So there were questions based on that. Afterwards, some questions on the goals. What are your short-term goals? What are your long-term goals? And where do you see yourself in 5 years? Questions like that. And some situational questions.
So are there any levels to get into TCS? And what are those?
Yeah. So TCS basically, Tata Consulting Services, they are mainly two profiles. One is the TCS Digital and one is the TCS Ninja. So I am placed in TCS Ninja. So for this, whatever TCS Ninja or TCS Digital, there are basically two tests that you have to give. One is the NQT, that is National Qualifier Test, which is mandatory for everyone to get into TCS. So in this, basically, it is an online test that has aptitude and coding. Okay, so after
Okay.
you qualify in these two rounds, you get a score, and based on your score, you are and your branch, you are evaluated into two parts, which is the TCS Digital and TCS Ninja. So I got the TCS Ninja. In TCS Ninja, again, you have to qualify for the interview, which is around 20 to 30 minutes, 25 to 30 minutes of an interview, which consists of the TR, HR, and managerial rounds. After you qualify the interview, you get a mail regarding the offer. And after that, you are asked to appear for a TCS Explore program, which is a 120-hour inductive program in which they teach you the basic skills that you need before getting into the actual industry. But for that, again, you have to give a proctored exam, which is not it's online, but you have to go to a certain place. I mean, there are
Yeah.
some
Okay. Mhm.
centers that you have to go to appear for the test, and based on your skills, then you will be assigned to the TCS Explore program. And then after that, when you as soon as you complete your program, you will be then further initiated for the pre-joining formalities.
Okay, fine. So how did you tackle tricky questions? Will you please give some examples?
Okay, so tricky questions, what I found was one during the aptitude test. There were some coding questions, programming questions that were quite tricky because comparatively, if you see TCS NQT is a bit hard or tough, I would say. Not very tough, but it's a bit tricky. Uh, because of that, as I had got a hint from my seniors that TCS NQT is going to be a bit different than the other, so I prepared myself thoroughly in the basics again, once again, and then revised, brushed up some of my programming skills. So I qualified for the NQT, and after that, for the interview, there were some tricky questions, such as mostly the tricky questions were the situational based questions. To give you an example, what I can remember is there was this question wherein the interviewer asked me if you are joining TCS and you are given a task. Okay, you have to complete the task by tonight, but you cannot complete it by yourself. You need a help of a senior uh, who will help you to finish it. You can't do it by yourself. You have to take a help from the senior or your team leader. But your team
Mhm.
leader is busy with his own work. He has to do and finish it at the same time. So how will you approach him? How would you, persuade him to help you complete your task? So that was a tricky question. Even if we are giving a solution, they will come back with another problem. For example, told him that I would persuade him by saying that if he has any work and if it is something that I could do, I would certainly help him. So it would be a give and take type of an interaction. But then he was asked that no, even if what if he declines? What if the team leader declines that no, I will do it myself. I don't need your help. So then how will you persuade him? So then we went back and forth with my answer, and then he questions based on that answer. So we went back and forth. There was no definite answer to that. So yeah, that went. So some questions, tricky questions based on the situation, type of questions are a little bit tricky. Other than that, rest were all fundamentals.
Okay. So what tips would you give to students who are now going for the interview?
Okay, so for the interview, it's a general rule: study your CV, because that is the one page from which you are going to be asked questions. Definitely, it's like giving you a question bank before your exam. So study the CV, as thoroughly as possible. Whatever you have mentioned in your CV, just go through it very quickly and in depth, I would say, because most of the questions are based off your CV. After that, study the basic of the programming language that you are mentioning. If you are, if you are from IT background, or even if you are from a core background and you have mentioned one or more programming languages, just study one in which you feel like you will be confident to answer. Because what happens is, some of my colleagues, one mistake they did was they mentioned two programming languages in which they are confident, but uh, when they were asked which programming language are you confident in, they said both. I have enough experience in both. And when they were asked questions, they were unable to give. So don't make
Mm.
that mistake. When you're mentioning a programming language, mention the one you're most comfortable in, and you feel like I can answer any question from this particular programming language. Okay. So for me, that was Python. So I mentioned Python, even though I know other programming languages. Don't mention it. I would recommend that you don't mention it. If you know it well and good, you can, while introducing yourself, that is the first question they always ask in an interview: introduce yourself. So in that introduction, you can slide in the programming languages that you know, but in the CV, mention the only language that you are very confident in, and prepare according to that. So the interview will become much easier. And again, don't boast. That is one other problem that I have seen, that people boast. I mean, even if they are confident, don't do that, because what happens is the questions that will come will make you feel embarrassed afterwards. So don't boast. Be humble and be honest, because what happens is, again, the people who are interviewing you are humans as well, so they know that you are not a very skilled professional. You are just a fresher and you are just a student. So be honest. If you don't know anything, just say don't know. uh, I, in my personally in my interviews, what I've did is, even if I don't know the answer to that, I just say I don't know. Because what happens is, if you prolong the interview, it will become messy, and the interviewers, they don't get comfortable with that, and a whole thing becomes very awkward. So just, if you don't know the answer to that, you say you don't know, because they just want to test how much you are confident in yourself, how much you are knowledgeable. Even if you lack a bit of knowledge, that is not an issue, because they are going to train you anyway. But be confident. Whatever you know, just tell you know this particular thing, and be humble and be honest. That's what I can recommend.
Okay. So did you participated in any of the co-curricular activities?
Yes. As you mentioned during my introduction as well, so I was a part of ASC. There is another club called IGS, which is Indian Geotechnical Society, which I'm a part of. Then there is a CESA that happens. That is a Civil Engineering Student Association. So I'm a part of that as well. So and again, I've been a part of Innovision 2019 and 2020. So I've had the luck to, I was fortunate enough to be a part of that. Again, there were many club managements which I was a part of, and then many inter-college activities, organizing events for very special occasions such as Republic Day, Independence Day, or any other particular
Mm.
days as that. And aside from that, I take tuitions and career trainings. So I've took a good amount of share, taking my time into participating in other extracurricular activities. And I would recommend the people who are who are doing their engineering or any kind of degree courses, be active in extracurricular activities, because what happens is the company expects you to be extracurricular. They don't want your academics, because as I said before, they look at your CV, and if your CV is just everything is educational, everything is academics related, they don't they will hire you. It's not like they won't hire you, but they won't have fun interacting with you, because
Mhm.
they expect you to be extracurricular. They want you to be a all-round person, okay, not just academics, or not just education, excuse me. So take part in as many extracurricular activities as much as you can, but not compromising with your studies, of course.
Yeah, but they have a problem with many students that how to tackle academics as well as co-curricular activities at the same time. So,
Yes.
how did you manage both?
So, what I would suggest is whenever you're taking part in any extracurricular activity, just take part in those which you have genuine interest in. If you don't have interest, there is no meaning in taking part in that, because anyway you will feel a burdensome if you have no interest in those activities. So, take part in those activities which you're comfortable and have an interest in. Aside from that, maintain a
Mhm.
proper schedule for that. I won't say proper, like you give a particular time for that. Just make a schedule so that you feel comfortable and you do not feel overburdened. Also, the most important thing that I would really recommend to all is that accept the things that you can do. Okay, don't accept things that you cannot do or you don't want to do. I had made that I made that error during my own engineering days. I have took up a lot of stuff on myself which I felt I could do, but actually I couldn't. So that become a big burden on me, and it took up a lot of my time, my energy, and all. So don't take up things that you feel like this won't fit into my schedule, or this is something that I don't want to do. It will take up a lot of my energy. Then don't do it. Even no matter how exciting or how enticing that feels, just don't do it. So just accept the things that you can do at that time, and you are good to go.
Okay, so how these activities help build your personality?
Yeah, so frankly speaking, from my first year only, I was a very shy person, and interaction was not my cup of tea. But then again, as I came into second year, I was fortunate enough to have good outgoing friends, because of which whose company helped me to become more outgoing. And then because of their interest and hanging out with them, I was able to take part in all these activities and then become a major part of it finally. So slowly I started becoming more and more outgoing, and I started learning some management skills. I started learning interacting, how to be more interactive with people. It helped me improve my communication skills as well. So all in all these extracurricular activities has only helped me in shaping myself and being what I am today. So yeah, so it was a very fun experience, looking back. If I see what kind of transition I had from my first year and to what I am now, it's really fascinating for me as well.
That's great. That's great. So, what sacrifices did you make throughout the journey?
Okay, so sacrifices, there are many, because you can't gain nothing if you can't sacrifice nothing. So
Yeah.
first of all that I had was, I had a very genuine interest in music. So I wanted to spend some time learning music. So but again, because of all these schedules, as I mentioned, I lost the opportunity for that. Aside from that, while maintaining all these extracurricular activities and my studies and the other stuff, I lost a job at a good firm. uh, so that was one thing that broke my heart. It was a very good firm. After that, just getting 3 hours of study time, that is one thing that has happened to me, and still today I just find I hardly find any time to study. But I just, as you say, as I said before, you have to make a schedule. You have to remove the things that you don't like and add in the things that you like. So I'm getting a good amount. I guess I think 3 hours, 4 hours of study time. So I have to sacrifice a lot of that. And again, I get only hardly 5 hours of sleep. So that is another thing. But then again, all this is fun. It shapes you. You have to sacrifice something to gain
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
Okay, so that was really inspiring. Would you please share your journey in RSUE?
Okay, RSCOE, my journey at RSCOE started in April 2018. So it was great. I mean, I had spent a lot of time searching for colleges. I mean, I wanted to take up civil engineering, and there weren't many colleges that provided many opportunities for civil engineering, very frankly speaking. But at RSCOE, I was very, excited, when I first saw the civil engineering department of RSCOE and the teachers that they were there, they were very helpful and very friendly, and it just clicked. So I was like, I just want to join here and just have fun here. So I just then I made sure that I put RSCOE at good priority and just came over here. And the civil engineering department is super awesome. Again, other departments are very friendly as well, but I just love my department. Again, then I had a lot of fun here, and then the teachers are very friendly. The teachers, they just help you with whatever you need. When there was when the placements also started, I'm talking about the placements. When the placements started, even when the teachers knew that okay, there are going to be some IT companies that are going to recruit people from the core branches, they immediately started looking for ways that they can train us in the IT stuff fundamentals. So that was one great thing that I found. And the first year, remembering my first year, which was the most fun. The first year department was very, very, very helpful, very friendly, and very fun. So I just, looking back, I just enjoyed my first year more than anything. Afterwards, I got into second and third year, got into my department, and it was a really a great experience. What I could say, it's an overall experience. I will experience a lot of good moments. I lost experience a lot of bad moments. I've got good praises from teachers. I've got bad remarks from teachers. I mean, it's a complete package, studying here at RSA. It's very fun.
Yeah. What message would you like to give the upcoming engineers?
The upcoming engineers, I mean, what I would say from my experiences is enjoy what you do. From the days I've completed my high school, I've been hearing that engineering is very hard, engineering is very tiresome, but it's not the case. And if you come into, they say scoring in, engineering is a bit hard. It's not easy, but that's not really the case. I mean, when I started doing my engineering, I felt like the first year, I mean, it felt like I'm just overdoing my 12th again. I'm reading my 12th. It was pretty easy. I just did whatever was there, whatever the teachers taught us, whatever notes was given. I just referred to it without spending a lot of time. I mean, I didn't spend a lot of time studying because half of it was done in the college itself, and that is what you are expected to write in the exam as well. You just write what you understand. So just keep an interest in whatever you're doing, and just do what you love, and keep an interest in the subjects. You will score very easily. Aside from that, participate in extracurricular activities, because engineering colleges are the colleges where you have a lot of fun, a lot of extracurricular activities, and a lot of opportunities where you can develop yourself as a person and as a professional. So try to take part in extracurricular activities as much as possible. Aside from that, again, no matter what stream you are or whatever department you are, you can, engineering is again an interdisciplinary uh, thing. So whichever department you are, just try to make yourself open to all the other departments, open to the interdisciplinary path. Try to learn some of the IT skills, try to learn some of the mechanical, some electronics, some electrical, and so stuff. Just keep yourself updated with whatever you have. Just don't focus on your particular stream. Keep yourself open, learn different programming languages, learn different electrical stuff, electronic stuff, mechanical stuff. Keep yourself updated. You will have a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. So passion is must.
Passion is must, yes.
So, so thank you so much for sparing your time, coming over and sharing so much about your journey. Wish you all the very best for all your future endeavors.
Thank you, Shruti. Thank you.